This podcast is not intended as legal advice. If you're in need of legal services, please contact 602-375-6752 to set up a consultation. You're listening to the official podcast of the Law Office of Libby Banks, Estate Planning, Wills, and Trusts. Your estate planning attorneys in the Phoenix Valley.
I'm Libby Banks with the Law Office of Libby Banks. We're an estate planning law firm. And here with me is my associate. I'll let her introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Alison Gloss. I'm Libby's new associate attorney.
And we have invited Jon Braddock to visit with us today. He started a website called mylifeandwishes.com that offers services that are in great need for our clientele. And so I thought I would start with asking you, Jonathan, about what the services are that you offer, so people know what that is, and then a little bit about why you decided to, what led you to open this website and do the services you do.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. Yes, our website, which is mylifeandwishes.com. What it is a secure end-of-life planning and document storage solution, which is really designed to make things easier for those we love, aka our families, right? And we launched to the world in 2016. So we've been around for about 8.5 years now. And we work with individuals, we work with estate planning attorneys who provide our services to their clientele. How would I dream that up, right?
Or why?
Yeah. Or why? So in 2013, my father-in-law died unexpectedly. And he lived literally a quarter mile up the street. And it was the first time my wife and I ever had to deal with the loss of a loved one and handle their estate. And to say it was like a scavenger hunt on steroids would be a gross understatement. We were trying to find all his assets, all his bank account information. Did he have a will? How were we going to find that? What about life insurance policies? And he was also an IBM guy. And so he did a lot of things on the computer. And trying to access things like auto pay and auto draft accounts was a nightmare. And my some secrets should not be taken to the grave moment was when we found a safe deposit box key.
Yes.
Oh, no.
Oh,
You
yes.
probably have experienced this, right? So,
Secret safety deposit box.
so he was a saver, shall we say, in a nice way. So his home office of 40 years was rather full of things. Boxes and files. And so we find the key in the desk drawer, along with, broken watches and old pocket knives from the 1940s and everything else. But there's no identifying bank. So we go to the two banks that he banked at. No box. I'm starting to think, you know what? He couldn't find the key when he closed the box. And so he paid his fine, and so be it. But my wife, Michelle, she kept scratching at that itch. She said, nah, there's more to this. It took her 2 weeks contacting every financial institution within the geographic area while she was doing other things. And we found a bank where he had a box that only he and the bank knew about. And inside that box was 752 paper shares of IBM stock.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Chills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So some secrets should not be taken to the grave. That would be one of them.
Yes, indeed.
And so it occurred to me that if something happened to me, my children would not know who my attorney is. They would not know who my accountant is or my financial advisor. They would not know where I bank, what kind of accounts I have. They wouldn't know if I had a will or a trust or where it was located, much less probably what it was. Wouldn't know if I had life insurance, wouldn't know how to take down my 457 digital identities.
Yeah.
And instead of them being able to be sad and grieve, they would have to deal with anger, frustration, confusion, time, expense, all things that people shouldn't deal with.
Yeah.
And so we created what we call the Legacy Vault, which is my life and wishes. And if I don't make it home from here this evening, my family at the touch of a button will have everything that they need to know, including copies of all the critical documents.
Yeah, it's an awesome, awesome service. Absolutely. So our clients have those same concerns about how is my family going to know, because I don't want to tell them now. That's the other issue, is I don't really want to tell them. But if all they have to tell them is there's this website, there's a Legacy Vault, and here's how you access it, and here's when you can access it, then they can have some comfort that they haven't shared too soon before they're ready. But the client, their family, is going to be able to get to it and really be able to know what they have, how to get to it, etc. And just to emphasize how some of the even minutia, how important that is, if you have an Apple iPhone and you have a code, Apple will not let your family into that phone. You have to go to court to get a court order. Now, they can access the information, Apple can, but they're not going to share it unless there's a court order. If you're tech savvy and you have a lot of things on your computer and you do that double secure where you
two-factor authentication.
Yeah, two-factor authentication. I couldn't think of the word for it. Thank you. You've got to have the phone as well.
Yeah,
to
family
be able
needs to know if it's going to your phone or to your email.
Right.
And then if it's going to the phone, how do I unlock that phone?
Yeah.
Or what's the password to the email?
Exactly.
And it's interesting, you mentioned the access to family. One of the things that I kind of refer to as our secret sauce is we have what we would call authorized users. An authorized user would be that responsible adult child, a highly trusted sibling, maybe my attorney, something like that, who would have access to the information when they needed it. And I can add them as an authorized user, and I can toggle on and off what they can see within the platform. So if one of my children were an authorized user and I didn't want them to see any of the financial information or the documents at this time, I can leave those turned off. But the things they need to see are my end-of-life wishes, where certain things are located and what needs to be done right away. And then after I'm gone, we can get those sections unlocked.
So what is that process like to toggle them on after you've passed away?
At that point, we know that a person has been granted access because they're an authorized user. And so we'll simply require the proper notification, death certificates, and be able to unlock those sections.
Gotcha.
Now, what I do, it's a little easier. I have them all toggled on. If one of my kids, because people say, well, John, what happens if one of the kids, even though they're adults, they're still nosy, they're a little bit curious, right? Mm-hmm. What stops them from going in? And here's what stops them. If one of my children went to log into my account, they would get a pop-up, and it would say, hey, you're about ready to access your dad's account. He will be notified immediately. Do you wish to continue?
I like it.
And then there's the bailout button. Yep. Nope. And so I know my kids that if they know dad's going to know that they were looking, they're not going in.
Yeah.
Now, if they went in, I immediately get an email. Who accessed the account, time and date stamped, and the IP address it came from. So I can call my son or daughter and say, hey, I'm not dead. Why are you in the account? And then I always have the ability to go in and change their permissions. And
toggle it back off.
Yep, exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And one of the documents that we usually want our clients to be sure that they've shared are the healthcare documents. Those are the ones that they might need to very quickly access and not be tripped up by anything that would keep them out of it. So being able to say yes to this and no to other things is really helpful as well. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And the beauty is that our platform, while it's web-based and ultra-secure, it is mobile optimized. So that means If Michelle and I are skiing in the Alps and I do something really stupid, now we have no brain activity. And I don't know about you, but we don't travel with our healthcare directives. She could literally, from her cell phone, log into the account, go to John's advanced directive, touch it, it opens up, hit that forward button on the phone, and send it to whoever needs it right now.
Wonderful. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. We can carry a lot of things on our phone, but that's way easier because I don't need, to have that on my phone and taking up space at this point.
Exactly.
So a lot of our clients, even getting them in to do the estate planning can be hard because they think they have to have all of the answers. They've got to have everything together before they even get started. And so one thing I would encourage anybody who's listening, if you're thinking, well, I'll pull all my information together and then I'll sign up, I'd say sign up, start putting stuff in. You can always add to it later, right?
Exactly. It's funny because we have thousands upon thousands of users, and periodically a user will make a comment. They say, well, there's just so much stuff. I've got all these things, and it's overwhelming, and it's going to be daunting. And, my response is, yeah, that's valid. I get that. It is. But if you don't do it, can you just imagine how overwhelming, time-consuming, and daunting that's going to be for your family? Because they don't know where it's at. So what I say is, look at it like a weight loss program. Okay? I can't go to the gym this evening and wake up tomorrow morning 20 pounds lighter. It's not going to happen. But if I go tonight, I go tomorrow, take a day off, maybe go the next day, and consistently do that and eat right over the next 8-10 weeks, I could wake up 8-10 weeks later
with the desired results.
Exactly. What I tell people is you're not going to sign up and be able to get all your stuff entered in there by tomorrow morning. But if we do a little bit today, a little bit tomorrow, and what I tell people is don't worry about uploading a document right now. Build a roadmap for family. Here's the critical pieces. Do you know you have life insurance? Yes. I have life insurance. It's with Prudential. Save. Family will find that. I bank at Arizona Bank and Trust. I have a checking, savings, money market, and a safe deposit box. Save. You don't have to put account numbers in there. We're building the roadmap. We're letting family know where it is. Do you have a trust? I do. Top shelf in the den at home. Estate plan attorney, Libby Banks. Save. And if something were to happen, because all that information is a roadmap to family so they don't have to come to my home office and start digging through all of my things, trying to piece my life back together.
Yeah. I do have one client that could probably fill it in by the next day, but he is the rare exception. He had everything already ready to go by the time he came to see me with everything that anybody would need. He'd simplified and whatnot. The things that we all probably kind of need to do, but tend not to. But again, if you get started now, then if you're working with a new financial planner, you just add that in. If you open a new account, you decide, I've got a great CD opportunity over here that's got a high percentage. It's not going to get lost because as you're opening it, put in the information. I just think it. Again, just emphasizing start small and then you can grow it from there and make sure that you're adding things as needed. So.
Oh, exactly. It's the old adage. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. right? So start small with the process. So I'd encourage people to, take a look, check it out. These are the important things. I mean, at the end of the day, when someone says, why is it that I really want to do this stuff? And my answer is, what do you want the experience to be like for your family after you're gone?
Yeah. We talk about the trust kind of as being your bucket where you're putting all your stuff in. So the legacy vault is the other piece of that, making sure somebody else can really pick up that bucket and administer it when the time comes, which it may include when the client is incapacitated. So if you've lost capacity, you want to make sure you're taken care of. The trust is a big part of that and the other documents we put together, but being able to access things, to know where you're banking, what are the auto drafts, where do I go to talk to the attorney and get the right documents that help me step into the trustee's shoes and run the business of my parents' estate while they're still here. That's such a big part of that as well, not just what happens when you pass away.
Yeah, I had, and I use the expression now because he gave me permission, but one of our estate planning attorney partners down in the Southeast, he referred to our platform and says, wow, this is the missing piece to a complete estate plan. And I was like, wow, can I use that? He said yes, because he said up until the time he started using it, his purpose was we're going to make sure we preserve assets, we're going to transfer wealth, and we're going to keep family out of court. But the family still has all this other heavy lifting that they have to do in finding things. And so adding that onto the back end, be it death or, as you say, incapacity. Incapacity might be worse than death, actually.
Absolutely.
So having family be able to know where everything is and what bills are due at what time of the month and where do they come out of, and
absolutely
becomes important.
So another thing that I thought about when I was thinking about how we could utilize your vault for clients is also if they're working with a financial planner, that financial planner can be given access as well and to the parts that they want. So if they're working with this financial planner with only a piece or they want to share the estate planning documents, this can be a good portal for all of those potential relationships, making sure, the estate planner knows what you've got. The financial planner can look at things. So that's the professionals can utilize this as well with their clients.
Yes, absolutely. Many of our clients will add their estate planning attorney or their wealth advisor, financial advisor as authorized users. Then they don't give them access to see or do anything. But then when I come to you and we review my estate plan next year, and now we've made some changes and we have a new certificate of trust, I can go in, toggle you in, and then when you've got that prepared, you can simply upload that in to the platform for me. And now I have that updated copy, and then I can turn the access off until you need it again. Same for the financial advisor. And everyone kind of is on the same page.
Right.
I've had some people say to me, it's like, John, why can't I just do all this in Dropbox or save it on my Google Drive? And my answer is, you could, but you have to know what to do.
Yeah.
Whereas our application guides you step by step. It asks you the questions. It thinks of all the things that you're not thinking of when you put those things together. Then it's very hard to give someone access through something like a Dropbox, et cetera, only when the time comes, right? It's either I'm granting you permission now or I'm not,
right.
And I'm going to have to leave instructions for that. So it's more intuitive. And then the other thing is a lot of people say, well, I keep everything on a spreadsheet on my laptop. It's like, okay. Who knows how to access your laptop? Have you ever had a hard drive fail? Because I have. Maybe you back it up on a flash drive. Well, flash drives get lost.
They're so small.
They fail. And now I don't know any of our iOS users out there who utilize a MacBook or a MacBook Air. There is not a USB port on that thing. We have to buy that little dongle that costs $20 in order to put a flash drive in it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. So that makes me think of another digital asset that is becoming more and more prevalent, and that is cryptocurrency and the information about the wallet and making sure that people know that you have crypto because it doesn't appear in a statement that you get every month or get emailed. And you've got to have those codes or it's lost.
Exactly.
So do you have clients that have crypto? Are you aware of how they're utilizing it?
We do. And yeah, there will be no paper trail of your crypto. So yeah, what we have people do is in the investments section, they can list out their crypto. As you indicated, it's critically important that you list the wallet that it's stored in, and then the 34-digit encryption keys and things where you can list those out so that family can find them and access them.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And we're finding, it's hard to plan for crypto for that reason, that you've got to have this information and, we don't want to include it in the estate planning document that we want you to keep on your shelf so somebody can find it. I don't want to keep it. Thank you. I don't need that liability. So again, that's, particularly for clients who had that kind of sensitive but really key information, being able to have that secure vault is critical for them as well.
Indeed. And, and to that point too, the reason why the cloud-based solution is better and safer is a couple. I have some friends, they don't use my platform because they're very not tech savvy, but they've done a lot of things that I've suggested to them, and they have what they call their death book. And I said, well, here's the thing about your death book. Okay. You might have everything listed in there, but it's, can be exposed to eyes that shouldn't see it. I mean, drunk Uncle Charlie could be over on Thanksgiving, right, and go into your office and snoop around. The other thing is that's hard to keep up to date. You think of something, it's like, oh, I got to remember to do that when I get home. You jot it on a sticky note, and then you got to dig it out. You got to erase what you wrote and put new stuff in versus, I can make a change right now on my phone and keep things up to date. The other thing is, recent natural disasters with Helene and Milton and people losing everything in its physical format due to hurricanes and tornadoes and wildfires, because most people don't have a safe deposit box where they keep the stuff. And even if they have a fireproof box, that might end up 3 counties away and never find it again. And so having a digitized copy of all these important things in your life will certainly make a rebuilding process easier. God forbid it happens, to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now, all of our Social Security numbers are apparently out there in the cloud somewhere. There's so much insecurity in terms of what is my stuff safe? So talk to me about the security protocols. How is that working on your site, and what assurances do you have for people who use you to store their things that it really is safe?
Great question. Yes, so we don't have our own servers. Everything is stored with Microsoft Azure in the cloud with all their multiple backup redundancies and safety systems. We are AES 256, which is military-grade encryption. And what makes us even, I think, more secure than the bank information is that we're a zero-knowledge company. That means no one at our company can see anything that anyone has stored in their platform. Whereas my banker who says, well, we use AES 256, I said, yeah, but you can see what's in my account. Right? Yeah. So no one else can see it. We do strongly encourage everyone to use two-factor authentication on it. In 8.5 years, we have never had any kind of an incident. And so, in all likelihood, the only way someone's going to access your account is if you've given them your password and you don't have multi-factor authentication established.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I wanted to talk about your book as well. So click here. Click here when I die. Make things easier for those you love. So really an excellent book. A short read. Really great advice. Talk to me about the experience of writing the book and maybe some of the tips that are in here that you'd like to share with our audience.
Yeah, absolutely. So the funniest part is that after I wrote the book and I sent a copy to my mother, she was like, "My gosh, I didn't even know you knew how to read." Because you'd never read as a child. Right? And I hadn't told her that I was writing a book. But someone once told me that everyone has a book in them. You just need the right way to get it out. And so after I started the platform and had the experience, I had someone who actually does some works with a company. They help write and publish books, and they get you the editors and the people to work with and things. And I said, I'd really like to talk about why people don't talk about the one thing that's absolutely going to happen to them. No one wants to talk about death.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to talk about it. And if people tell me two things, I have some people, they say, well, I have time. And it's like, wow, really? You have time, so you're not going to talk about it. But I don't have that crystal ball. I don't know when my last day will be here, so I really don't have time because it's not like taxes, right? And then I have some people tell me it's bad luck to talk about death. And pardon the analogy, but I say, we talk about sex all the time, but that doesn't make us pregnant. If we talk about death, I'm quite sure it's not going to make us dead.
Right.
Right? And as near as I can figure, people have been on this planet for about 300,000 years. And the odds, I think, are still pretty close to 1 out of 1 of us will die. So I'm not going to be the first. And at least talking about it and having people understand, simple things like, do you want to be buried or cremated? Because a friend of mine, Nick, said, "Hey, John, you know what? I really wish I'd known Mom wanted to be cremated before I buried her." That's a true story. 2 months after she died, he's packing up her house, finds a journal. I'm saying, I think I'd like to be cremated. He's like, "Really, Mom? We couldn't have talked about this." So the book is, it is not a Debbie Downer. It is my irreverent sense of humor on a pretty important topic.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We've all had that experience of, so it happened when my dad had a heart attack. I was working for a big firm. I had a court hearing the next day. Normally I would come in at 6 a.m., have everything ready, and then head over to the courthouse. But for some reason, that night before, I prepared everything, had it laying out on the desk. So when I got the call at midnight, I called the managing partner and said, "It's all ready for you. I'm heading out to go be with my dad." And I think that's where it comes from, is that feeling of, if I get ready for it, it's going to happen. Yeah. So. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But it won't. I actually have not ever had that happen with a client. Unless they already had a diagnosis. Most of them are still living. So just get on the program and get this taken care of. Absolutely.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. That's, after I had sent a copy of the book to my mother after I had it published, she read it, and then she told me this story. So she gave it to her neighbor, good friend of theirs, who's the same age, and said, and I can't remember her name, but we'll just call her Judy for the sake of argument. She said, "Judy, you need to read this book." And Judy read the book. She immediately went to Frank, her husband, because it's a quick read, because my attention span's short, so it's a short book. She went and she tossed it at her husband and said, "You read this and you do this now," because he's scheduled for surgery, open heart surgery, like a couple of days later. And the thing is, they were from a generation where he took care of everything. She didn't know where anything was. And so it's not so much that way today. But I know in many relationships, I mean, I don't know when our bills are due. what we owe. I don't do any of that. Michelle does all that stuff for me. So, if someone goes, someone's going to be lost.
Right. Yeah, very possible. A lot of our clients are in the same boat. And, sometimes even they're younger. It's like, I've got the busier job, so my husband takes care of a lot of that. And, I could get up to speed because I used to do it when he was the busier person. But it would take me a bit to get there and go, okay, oh, yeah, right, I forgot about that, So definitely.
Yeah. The one thing I'll tell people, and I'll leave it at that, it's so my biggest pet peeve in the world is digital identities. Facebook, probably number one, because I have no less than 5 friends who are active on Facebook and they are deceased. And Facebook's wonderful. They remind me, hey, John, wish Bob a happy birthday. And it's like, Bob is no longer saying thanks for the birthday wishes. And so if nothing else, make sure someone knows how to take down your digital identities, because I'm pretty sure my kids, if I die or when I die, they don't want to see my Facebook account floating around out there and getting messages of wish Dad a happy birthday.
Yeah, popping up at just that bad time. Absolutely. Right. Yeah. Well, John, thank you so much. And I'll encourage our audience to look for your book, Click Here When I Die, and visit mylifeandwishes.com.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure to share with you today.
Great to meet you.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the official podcast of the Law Office of Libby Banks. If you're in need of an estate plan, please reach out to our team by either calling 602-375-6752 or emailing info@libbybanks.com. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Just search the Law Office of Libby Banks. Free consultations apply to new and existing estate plans only. If an estate plan is not completed or was prepared by a third party, revisions will be given at an hourly rate. This has been a T-Door production. Music by Track Tribe.